Gruesome Magazine.
I am your host, Doc Rotten, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video-on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreher, and I will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. With me this week is my co-host, Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm not really sure. I just woke up in a tub of goo, and I'm not quite feeling myself.
Oh, my God.
That was Tuesday. And, it was a fun thing. Yeah. The tub of goo that you speak of is in Castle Rock season 2. We are going to be discussing the second half of the season 2, episodes 6 through 10, as I stumble over all that. We previously did episodes 1 through 5. 3 episodes ago?
6. It was in episode 90. So 5 episodes.
5 episodes ago. See, I can't count. This is a bad thing. All right. Also joining us this week is Crystal Cleveland, the living dead girl. Crystal, how you doing?
I'm great. It's Friday the 13th, which is always good.
It is. I woke up and realized that and went, yay. Did a little Friday 13th dance. And it was, and then
Friday.
and then sent a nice little happy Friday 13th text to my friend and buddy Dave Dreher, who is a Friday 13th freak. Well, he's also rounding out the crew. Dave, how you doing?
I'm good. And technically, it's a coffin of goo, not a tub of goo.
That's true. And
So
a
from
coffin
the
of goo.
inside, it's all the same.
You stand.
Or he lies corrected in this case. Right?
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. Yes, happy Friday the 13th, everyone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, this is always a special day for you. Right?
Last Friday the 13th
It
of
is.
the decade.
True.
Yeah, it is.
That's kind of crazy.
A little. So none of us have any triskaidekaphobia, right?
What's that?
No.
Not this week.
Fear
That's
of
the
number
fear of
13,
the Friday
I think.
13th.
Oh, no. I think 13 is lucky. I feel the opposite. I love 13.
To me, it's 11/11. I'm just saying.
No, well, that's a good one, too.
You're just afraid of that Darren Bousman movie.
Well, that have you seen it? You should be.
Yeah, that's why.
All right. Well, like I said, we're going to be talking Castle Rock. But first, Gruesome Magazine is brought to you by ExpressVPN. A VPN is a virtual private network, which is a secure tunnel between your device and the internet. VPNs are used to protect your online traffic from snooping, interference, censorship, and coffins full of goo. ExpressVPN offers rock solid privacy at blazing speeds with no compromises, and that's what we like, right? I think so.
Totally.
Yes. The cool things about ExpressVPN is that they have locations all over the globe to protect your identity. They also keep you anonymous, and they also, encrypt everything, which I think is the most important thing. If you want to keep yourself private when you're out there, Googling all over the place and just wildly Googling to the left and wildly Googling to the left, you definitely want to have a VPN to protect you. Isn't that right, Dave?
It is. I don't know how I survived until I had one.
Oh.
If it wasn't so true, that would be hilarious. I really don't know how you survived with that. All right, try ExpressVPN. I tickled myself. Go to tryexpressvpn.com/Gruesome Magazine.
Yes.
All right, here it is. Oh, this is exciting. HULU a year ago brought Castle Rock, which is like this amalgamation of all kinds of Stephen King properties and ideas and mythos, little hints in here and there last year. And we covered it on H&R and dug it. And this year we're covering season 2 here on Gruesome Magazine. We did, like I said, the first half of the season 5 episodes ago. Thank you, Jeff. And now it's time to tackle the latter half. Now, the first season, the latter half, Dave, if you remember, was it the next to last or the next to the last, the anti-penultimate, right? or something like that.
Yeah. The last 3 episodes got a little funky.
The one episode was really awesome, and then it like ran out of steam and did some crazy crap and didn't quite understand what was happening. But this season comes back with Lizzy Caplan playing Annie Wilkes, and she's carting around a daughter we did not know she had, Joy Wilkes. And all kinds of crazy things happen, including seeing the Marston house and Jerusalem's lot and all kinds of things. And it's crazy. So let's find out what our first impression of episodes 6 through 10 may be. And Dave, you're the Stephen King nut, so you need to go first.
I have to go first. I think this definitely finished off much stronger than season 1 did, for sure. I actually really, really loved the final episode. It was getting a little funky again. 7 was a little funky. 8 was like, huh? 9 was still a little, huh? But, we started coming. I think it was very much more centered when they focused just on Annie Wilkes. We had a couple episodes there where we were getting the whole backstory about the goo people and the cult and the what was it? Not a witch, I guess. What was it? Whatever they were trying to resurrect.
Satanists, the angel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's all worth your time because there's a huge payoff in the final episode, and it was kind of ended up all being worth it. But when you're first watching it, you're kind of like, what? They didn't really, other than the name and where they were, they didn't really trample into Salem's Lot territory at all. Or if they did, they just stuck the tip of their toe in. We didn't get any Barlow or any. I mean, there might have been a couple mentions, but really there was nothing about the vampire storyline or anything. It was kind of non-existent. Unless I missed something.
No, all we got was the house, and then they referenced that decades ago something weird happened, and that was it.
Yeah. So but again, if they continue on with this, I guess they can always repeat back to that. They could, right?
I would hope so.
Good point.
Yeah.
To that area.
Maybe not the house. Well, we'll get.
Yeah.
there.
Well, yeah. I'm gonna say I guess we find out what happens to the house. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it, but I particularly enjoyed the whole story arc of Annie Wilkes. I really loved the last 20 minutes of the season. I thought were exceptional.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
Maybe even saved it. Ooh. All right, let's wait. We gotta find out everybody else.
Oh,
Crystal Cleveland, what was your first impression of episodes 6 through 10 of Castle Rock season 2?
It's amazing. Okay. Last season, I wasn't nearly as upset as everyone else with the way the show went. I guess somewhere in my mind, I kept thinking, I think this is just a starter. This is just kind of to get us warmed up, and it'll all make sense at some point. And actually, what's crazy is I do think it kind of, did play into this season, and I think it made more sense as well, of course, with everything that we kind of learned this season. But I have to agree with Dave. Lizzy Caplan is so good that she's basically the only one I wanted to see on screen. I don't know what it is about her. She's just captivating in this for me. And I think that the way that they wrote, the way that they wrote her character is very true to the character. And I think that everything that she did and everything that was done all made sense, and it all comes, full circle. And I think the ending actually kind of wrapped this up, but left it open as well for some new.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think Lizzy Caplan's performance here as Annie Wilkes actually colors, the Misery movie quite a bit, fills in.
God, she's so perfect.
Yeah.
It really is just like, she just does it so perfectly that I buy it. I'm like, great. Yep. She's a young Kathy Bates. Fantastic. Yeah. No problem.
It's a backstory without having to be a backstory, which is really weird.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that. It's anyway, let's find out what Mr. or should we say Sir? Maybe
Sir.
we will. Let's do that. Sir Jeff Mohr thinks of episodes 6 through 10 of Castle Rock season 2. Jeff, what was your first impression, sir?
I'm still thinking about Sir.
Sir.
Yeah, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I'm a little bit like Crystal, I guess, in that I didn't have a problem with the ending of the first season. I thought it was interesting. And I'm actually thinking after watching this season, I kind of want to watch first season again, knowing what we know now.
I agree, too. Like, I think it's going to make
an outlook
sense,
on
right?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it certainly changes the outlook on a given character, that's for sure. So, and they did cross it. There's a couple cross-ins here. So I don't know if we're going to start throwing this stuff in before, but y'all see Christine in the parade?
Yes.
I did notice that. Yeah.
What? I missed it.
No.
I
She was
missed
there.
it.
He even says, nice car. Yeah.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I'm going back. I got to watch it.
And then, they threw in some stuff from last season with Sheriff Pangborn and the letters. And so there was more than one tie-in across that, right? And
the missing poster. Yeah.
And the warden's
the
wife.
missing poster. Yeah.
Oh, the warden's wife. Oh, I was like,
what was the missing poster again?
Oh, you missed it? It's the main character from last season was.
Yeah. Oh, you've missed. It was. They actually did kind of a close up, which I think was she getting gas or something?
Yeah, but it was weird because it was a missing poster like way up in Canada, so it didn't make any damn sense. But I went with it anyway. I was
looking at the posters on. Well, anyway, maybe I did see that. Was that where she took the number off the?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was looking at those, but I guess I didn't get it. Anyway, yeah, I like this a lot, and I thought they tied it off pretty well. And I actually liked episode 8. That was sort of like that. There's lots of people get killed in episode 8, and a key thing happens that colors Annie for the rest of the show too. Something they do in the Marston house. So I don't know when we want to go into spoilers or if we're just going to go full tilt into them, but I enjoyed the heck out of it. I liked, the relationship between Pop and Ace, or should I say Augustin.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just enjoyed the hell out of it. I thought it was really good writing and tied some things together, and people acted fairly the way you would expect. I thought having that one nurse, I think her name was Evelyn, show up in the last episode or last 2 episodes was kind of weird, unless she was just kind of a red herring or something.
Or a red shirt.
Yeah. I'm like, what's she here for? I don't know. And they obviously showed her earlier where they, the camera zooms in on her on that one scene with Chris. Or no, with the other, when the other woman shows up that was in the tub of goo. Anyway, I'm rambling. I liked it. Go Doc.
Go Doc. I liked it too, and I liked this better than last season. Misery, while I liked it, has never been one of my go-tos, as a film, and I liked Annie Wilkes here so much more, and it colors that character and fleshes her out in such a wonderful way, and really, dives into what's going on in her head, which is kind of frightening. I liked how it ended up kind of weaving back into the first season and kind of filling in some of the blanks that were really bothering me and clearing that up. So I really appreciated that. And actually, yeah, I agree. It makes me want to go back and maybe give the first season, especially the latter half, a second shot again. Not that I disliked it. It's just that it just kind of whimpered at the end. This one I thought ended really well. And when I get to spoilers, there's something I definitely want to say, and we'll do spoilers here in just a second. But I thought that it was really well directed, really well shot, except for one episode. And I discovered why I had a problem with the episode. Episode 9 didn't sit with me as well. And it's because Annie Wilkes was kind of pushed off as a side character as we're concentrating on all this weird action and Pop a little more. Not that I don't mind, concentrating on Pop, but it seemed like her character was kind of one note, and she hadn't been, right, for all the rest of the 8 episodes prior, and definitely not in 10. So it annoyed me. But other than that, I really dug it. Episode 10, there's plenty to unwrap there and talk about. I definitely liked the latter half of that quite a bit, and where it went and what it promises. Some fun stuff. Now, if we can only get Jackie Torrance back from the first season, everything would be right. Right.
I'll be right with the world.
Yeah, but I did end this up going, yep, I want a third season. Yeah.
Oh,
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
But they'll probably likely go off in a total different route. I mean, I don't think we'll see any Wilkes. I mean,
No,
we,
I
That
don't
would
think
be
we're
so sad for me. I think I'd love to see it again. There's so much they could still do with her.
Yeah, that's
Well,
true.
I mean, they probably
much.
left her what? Now she's probably what, her early 30s where we left her.
Yeah.
I would say, and then when we meet her in Misery, the novel, she's what, late 50s, early 60s, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe a
so,
little
so there's
younger.
there's like a 30-year span there. Yeah, maybe it's hard to say. You really can't tell.
Yeah,
But
but I really
there's
like
a
her
lot.
using. Could you think you could get him to dedicate a book to you?
I know. And see, but that's what concerns me. That's what makes me
We'll
think
get there. We'll get there.
that
Don't
her
spoil
story
anything.
does-
All right. If you're listening to this and you haven't watched the latter half of it, I think what you're going to get out of what we just said is that we all liked it and you should go watch it. Check it out. It's on Hulu right now. And then come back and listen to the rest of this episode because we're going to dive into spoilers. And there's a lot of twists and turns and yeah, especially early on. And of course, as it wraps up. In the middle of that, it's pretty much thorough fare. It doesn't really, well, except for one surprise, right? But we'll get into it. So on 3, 2, 1, spoilers now. All right, let's go ahead and do the ending because I'm just going to say this outright, Dave. I was so hoping James Caan was going to be sitting there, but
I was going to say, how cool would that have been if they could have just had one shot?
Just,
they could have just gone up the podium and already been standing.
Yeah.
How cool would that have been?
Yeah, especially if it was like, it didn't even have to be, I don't even know, is he, forgive me, is he still alive? He is, right?
Ooh.
Yes.
Yes. James Caan.
Okay.
They could have had a son do it.
But they could have
His
just,
son looks just freaking like him. Yeah.
yeah. Well, or they could have just, had a picture, a shot from him from before,
the book jacket, or even the book jacket.
Yeah, or anything. Yeah, but I was so one because when they started picking up the book and reading it, I was like, oh yeah, I see where this is going, and I was I was grinning for that. I thought that was great.
Yeah, I was hoping the same thing. I'm like, come on, it's just got to be like a 3-second blip and then black screen. That's it.
Oh, I mean, we got right up to the shoulders, man. Right up to the shoulders.
I bet they didn't show it just in case.
Mm-hmm.
He's a character later on, and they have to use a different.
Good.
I think that's a smart play.
There could have been some rights issues too.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So let's also talk about, is it episode 7 at the end that we get the holy crap, Bill Skarsgård's back as the kid.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he did one. Is that all? That's all he did. One quick little.
Well, he's at the end of this one too, right?
Right, he's in the middle
Well,
of the end, right? Or the end of the
Yeah.
middle, or whatever.
Did it actually show his face? Because I think
it did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. He's got the cloak on, but it was definitely him.
He turned around and walked away.
Yeah. Disappeared. But I like that they explain the lake and that they know that he basically travels from dimension to dimension or time to time. So
I like the way he turned around though. It was turning around like, well, fuck. back to the drawing board.
Damn it.
That didn't work out. That was 500 years wasted.
But you know what? Do you think that's his only? I mean, if he were smart, he would have multiple things going at the same time.
Oh, of course, he's got
at
least
I mean,
seven or eight seasons in him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so perhaps you'll be the common thread.
That's exactly. That's what I was going to say. Maybe he's going to be what hold it all together with all the different factions.
Yeah. And then I guess the last thing that we should really dive into is Rita. When we found out that a lot of that on episode 5 as we're going into this, but when that unravels and the whole thing about Joy being Annie's sister, not her daughter, and all the backstory and everything, it opened up a lot of conflict between those two that I think Mother really played out well with that.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked the way that whole thing turned out. Okay, I liked the way it happened, but it shocked me. But it just showed Joy's love for her, and I think that was sweet. It's like, kind of makes the ending a little bittersweet. It's like, oh, had you made
her love for
choices?
Annie? Yeah.
Because you kind of wonder, I mean, she seems like she's really trying to get away from her and distance herself, and she doesn't trust her anymore. But that didn't undermine the fact that she loved her as her mother. And that's kind of sweet,
Although it was changed, right? It was darkened, if you will.
It felt more
strained,
raw.
Yeah,
See, I feel like that's more real. I mean, them driving around the car singing that's not real life. I just felt like this made it more more real. It's like, okay, we've got it all out on the table, and now here's where we are. Yeah, let's do this or not, whatever the case may be.
Yeah. And then Ace goes around killing everybody, making his all the little witchy poos, or the Satanist, right? The Satanists come back.
Building his army
through the coffin goo. Yeah,
his army of goo people.
So I got to find out, Jeff. Did you like episode 7, The Word? Because that's the episode that spends a good portion of it kind of giving the backstory, way back 400 years ago, right?
I did.
What'd you like about it?
I sort of like the feel of that time period, and then also the way that it played out. I liked the character of Amity, and the actress, and the priest. I mean, there was plenty of misdeeds going around for everybody, right? The head of the village was kind of a jerk, her father, and apparently they had picked a bad spot to settle because it belonged to the angel. And I also liked how it played out when, this is the second episode in, like, I don't know, how long ago was Eli, where we saw upside down crosses?
Yes. Yes.
It's so hot right now.
And I could see the functionality of burning them upside down, because gets the head a lot sooner. But yeah, that's what I liked about it. I liked it setting the background, and I could put a picture to these people that were coming forward and becoming the people here, if that makes any sense, and sort of their motivations. Didn't work, but I hate it when a 400-year plan doesn't go.
I know. It's no A-team there, right? Yeah, no A-team there. Dave, our Marston house, of course, we liked, right? Were you laughing at the A-team joke? Yeah,
the A-team joke, yes.
That's for me and you, and that's about it.
That's our generation.
Hey, Boomer.
That was super funny. Super funny.
Oh, wow, that hurt. Wow. Dave, Marston house. They refurbish it and restore it and paint it up.
Yeah, paint it all up in some nice graphics. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you enjoy the idea that this house was playing a part in this show?
I did, but again, I wanted to see it more in its, as I remember it, in its literary form. I mean, it served a function here. It really did, but they could have used any. Putting this in Jerusalem's Lot really didn't serve much purpose. It could have been in any small Maine town, other than it obviously being part of the Stephen King universe. I wanted more of the Salem's Lot storyline. I think I even mentioned that in the show where we kind of tried to figure out where this was all heading. Yeah. I was hoping for much more Salem's Lot tie-in, and it never really came to fruition. And then they blow the place up.
No, they blow it up. But it does make it have a little bit more of a deep legacy than it did in, just.
It does. And the excitement of first seeing it there, whatever it was, the second or third episode.
When she comes out of it.
When she comes out, it's like, holy shit. Oh, but again, it was all kind of for nothing, because I spend the next couple episodes waiting for something to gel, and it never does. But I mean, it wasn't bad. It just almost makes you feel like you were kind of tricked a little bit.
Bamboozled.
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 But I guess it's no more than like when we seen Christine and there. I mean, it was just kind of a cameo from another Stephen King work. So
yeah, except for it was used a lot longer. I don't know. It seems to be more.
I feel like maybe the house kind of is a hotbed for Superman.
Right.
Yeah,
or that location. Right.
Yeah. Well, you definitely, for sure.
Yeah. I love that spiral staircase made out of old timbers or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it gives you an idea of how, well, we talked about this, how Barlow and all his minions got around.
Yeah, why they were drawn to it, if you were.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. Crystal. you like Pop, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Did we get good closure with Pop?
Of course. That's the way I told you. That's the way it was going to happen, and that's the way it should happen. Like it showed his character arc and the fact that at his core he was a good person, a good man, and wanted to do the right thing. He did some bad things, but he wasn't a bad person, you know. And I think he was just redeeming himself. I think isn't that what everyone wants to do before they die?
Just trying to make amends.
Yep. He had some serious amends to make up with it. I thought that they lost track of him, a few episodes back, but I was happy when he came around and he got a little bit more focused. But that's the troubling episode for me, right? When it was focusing on him, because it was also throwing Annie Wilkes in there, but not in a good way. I didn't like how that particular episode was kind of thrown together, but at the same time,
which one was that?
That's episode 9.
Okay,
caveat emptor. But it's got so much in it. And, it was just trying. I don't know. Maybe it was trying to do too much or something. I'm not really certain, because all she was doing was whining, and it was just getting on my nerves. I was like, come on, she was so much better than that. But yeah, so by the time episode 10 comes around and things happen, I was getting it. I was like, oh man. And they were building it too. And that was great, right? Because he put the shot in like one episode, he gets shot the next episode, and then he comes back on the 10th episode. Clever writing.
So all she was doing was whining. Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about Annie Wilkes.
Annie.
Yeah. She became a whiner.
We gotta get joy. We gotta get joy.
Joy.
I don't care what you do.
That's true. She did kind of, and she made some poor choices when she was trying to save her. No, go ahead. No, she's crazy. So I totally get behind whatever it is that they say.
Oh, I loved how she, the cops are questioning her, and she goes, "That's it. That's the story. That's the bolts." Or what did you say? Nuts to bolts.
Yeah, but that's not episode. Episode 9 is all she's they find her in the basement, and then she's just whining, running around whining.
Yeah, she's in her frantic I gotta save Joy mode, but I guess I didn't.
It got under my skin.
Everything she did was motivated by that. Even later on, then she anyway runs into the house.
It seemed kind of like a manic episode. Like she gets in her states, and basically,
but they change her pills at one point, don't they? That's
it.
They do.
That's what I was saying at the beginning of episode 8. When he decides that she's going to be the vessel and gets her to the Marston house, they swap out her pills, and I don't know. I don't think she has her real pills to the end.
I don't think she ever gets back on them. Yeah, I don't think so.
That's when she starts seeing her mother.
Yes, and her father too.
Oh yeah, that. Mm-hmm.
When did she see her father?
At the book signing.
Oh, he was at the book signing, but he was also in the crowd, earlier too. So,
okay.
Because previously they were like ghosties and covered in blood, but then they were all clean. Episode 10. The finale, as far as our 400-year-old Satanists go, which is midway through episode 10, I guess Pop saves the day, right? I guess that's really what comes down to it. Everybody else kind of didn't.
Well, I mean, they pushed the buttons, but Pop told them to. So, yes, but they technically carried it out. But he was going to die anyway. I mean, he had cancer. He might as well sacrifice himself for everyone. It's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I didn't quite get why that had to happen. I mean,
what do you mean? Like what?
Well, that explosion, they blew up kind of the place they were doing the ceremony already.
Why did they have to blow up the house as well?
Right. How did that work into that? Other than I guess that would have collapsed the stairway.
They destroy the statue or whatever the hell it is.
Mm-hmm.
first. Yeah.
So I don't know. I was just curious. I thought maybe Augustin was going to come in and get nailed, but he was already. I didn't get that either. He got stabbed. I thought maybe he was dead, but then he got up. Was he like his powers healing him, or?
I don't know. But that's the last time we see him. We think we hear him later, but we don't, right? So, I guess he's still out there, hanging out at the lake, going.
Hanging out at the lake.
Hanging out at the lake. He's gone to the lake to look for Bill Skarsgård.
He is like, where's the kid? The kid. Where's the kid? All right. So Annie and Joy hike up to, hike it out of town, right? Haul ass and go up to Canada and take residence as a carekeeper for a very, very sick man. And Annie gets paranoid, and I will admit I didn't know what was real and what was, was she being paranoid or was she just saying the truth? What's happening? Is she saving the day or is it going to be tragic? Crystal, what did you think of how Annie and Joy's confrontation ended on the shore of the lake that they're staying at, because they're at a lake house taking care of this invalid? What were you think was happening before it finally revealed what was happening? Did she save the day, or did she just have a tragic mistake?
Well, I think obviously it was a mistake.
We know that now, but what at that moment, what were you thinking?
I wasn't sure, honestly. But I love pointing this out. I love being right. It just makes me feel so good inside. I knew she was going to kill her, as I said in my predictions. What, Crystal? What? You're so smart. You're so smart. Not what? I'm sorry. I'm such an asshole.
Did you co-script it?
No.
But in the foreshadowing, I knew she was going to have to kill her because the dad said that, and I thought she would be possessed, and that's the reason she would do it. Or, it worked out almost the same way, thinking she was possessed. She's a moody teenager, so it's entirely possible that she was being moody. And after all that stuff that happened, it's very Annie to think that she wouldn't be affected by it. Mm-hmm. But there she was watching that French show and stuff. I thought she was still possessed. Honestly.
I was thinking that, right? It was made us believe the same thing she did.
Of course. It's ridiculous that she was watching that show and looked so into it, and just everything about it, of course, was
and the drawings.
Yeah. It was unfortunately, that stuff runs in the family, so a little bit of that crazy is, pretty normal. But yeah, it's sad that she found out that she wasn't possessed. I kind of wish she had thought she was possessed and that was it, and I think she could live with that a lot easier. But had that been the case, we wouldn't have gotten the ending that we did.
Yes,
true.
And honestly, I thought she had drowned for a long time. I actually thought she brought her back, of course, at first.
Right.
I was like, oh, that's baloney. That was way too long. And then, oh, duh.
Yeah, it was a little too sappy. I knew it couldn't be true. Jeff, I want to know how, speaking of sappy, how emotional was it when she was reading the letter that Joy left for her?
Well, that was real emotional, but I was in my trying to figure it out mode. So I was like, okay, so is this, because I was still thinking she was possessed, at least partially or hidden. Because of the pictures she'd drawn and watching this French show, although she's in Quebec, so, we're going to have French.
Yeah, it makes sense, so. Of course, yeah.
Well, they show her another picture, which is entirely different, that she sees with the letter. Did she actually draw those other pictures, or did Annie just see them?
Well, you can never tell, can you?
We do have an unreliable narrator, so yeah.
Well, we did have the pictures that she saw, that the Marstonites saw when she was in the house, right?
Mm-hmm. She was already doing some prophetic.
She had already
stuff. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Drawn some stuff like that. And she could have drawn a picture of the angel from the statue. It didn't necessarily mean she had seen that, so I don't know. But I was still kind of wondering. And the letter tried to explain it all away, and Annie bought it right away, but I wasn't totally buying it. And I was completely with Crystal. First, I thought, oh, no, that's too long. And then I thought, well, it depends how cold the water is,
Yeah, me too. I was
They
like
can
trying to
last a long time.
justify it.
But then when everything was suddenly wonderful, then I'm kind of like going, okay, what's going on here? So
Yeah, I think Jeff was sneaking in. He was trying to believe a double ruse with
yes,
that letter, that she was lying about everything.
Well, it could
Yeah.
be too. I mean,
And she actually was possessed. All right. Now mind blown.
Amity sat in the when she wrote the letter. Right?
All right, Dave. Last question before we get into those predictions we keep hearing about. As a Stephen King fan, and this being a Stephen King show, did it work out? Did they do a good job?
They did. They really nailed the ending on this one. I really feel that they did. They tied right back into because in a way, this Castle Rock is kind of a made up Stephen King universe. But at the end of this one, they managed to tie it right back into the actual Stephen King universe, which is the perfect thing to do for us Stephen King fans. Because we can buy the Goo people and all the other crap, as long as at the end of the day, we come back home to Stephen King. And they did that this time, which I think was the big problem with the last season. They didn't bring us back to Stephen King Center.
That might be it. You might have nailed it.
They did. They did this time. This time they brought it full circle, and it was a very satisfying payoff. Like we were saying, though, the only way it would have been better is if they would have panned up and James Caan would have been standing there and have been like, yeah. But still, it still worked.
Well, and I was thinking, at the end we've got Annie, Nadja, Abdi, Pop, Chance, and the red shirt for a little while. But it's like a typical Stephen King band of misfits, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's true.
Working, fighting the evil that would have never really associated too much before, but now they're all working together for the same thing, and they've all got their own little glitches or foibles, right?
Correct.
Foibles.
Some bigger than others.
Them damn foibles.
but I thought Annie was right in sticking that guy in the eyeballs. I mean, I was like, just do it. Just do it. I can't believe that they were upset about that. I was like, what? She did the right. He's a no. Screw that guy,
Yeah, that was pretty rad. I'll say.
He was talking about seeing something or something about your eyes or the truth.
She just got all mad and thump.
Yeah.
Like, oh man,
I had planted eyes in my brain. I'm going to use that.
Yes. That was a little.
I have a question, Doc, if I may.
Yes.
Does anybody have a theory as to why Annie, Nadja, Abdi, Pop, Chance, Evelyn, why they didn't hear the sound?
Oh wow. I didn't
Or why the people that didn't hear it. Because there was more, right?
I think they had to look at the statue, didn't they? And maybe that's why Joy got wrapped into it. I thought it was about looking at the statue. And that's when they were under the influence, so to speak.
Yeah.
Or someplace else.
Yeah, I think because Pop ran, he didn't.
Yeah, he didn't look.
Yeah, he had
look, he
back
ran.
to it. Yeah.
And,
he ran.
And Joy, as soon as she turned around and saw it, then she was mesmerized.
She was hooked. Yeah.
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 So it was seeing it.
All right. We've been, Crystal has been actually saying a lot about predictions. Jeff, you wrote down the notes. We made predictions after 5 episodes. How did we do? How did we do with our predictions?
Well, I gotta, Crystal's got us beat. So her first thing I wrote down that Crystal said that sounded like a prediction was Annie's going to kill Joy. Yep. And then Doc said, or somebody else becomes Annie. And
Cuckoo. What?
And I agreed with him.
I'm going to argue that here in a second. I think that actually happened.
Well, we were thinking Joy was going to take over Annie's persona, and Crystal goes, I think that's a stretch. That's not happening. You literally said that. Crystal, this is good. Crystal said, I have a feeling there's going to be a war, and I don't know who's going to stop it.
Yeah,
there was a war. Doc said, I don't think Annie Wilkes makes it out of the story.
Wow.
That's a miss.
Is it though?
Yes. Yes.
I don't think she makes it out.
We got to watch the last episode again because as we're talking about this, I'm actually wondering because we see they're at the book reading.
Don't you dare! Don't you dare!
And Joy, and Annie are there, and then they go up and show Paul, and then when we come back and they pull back, it's just Annie sitting there. But isn't Annie sitting where Joy was?
No. I wish that was true, but no, it's not.
No, okay.
But,
I'm playing it back in my mind, and I'm like, wait a minute, Doc might actually be onto something.
No.
There's a book on the chair, but then we also had the guy that came up and said, "Is this seat
Can I sit here?"
Of course it is.
And that's when I knew. I was
like you didn't before when they were like they were holding hands and skipping down the sidewalk. Come on, it was obvious.
I'm wondering what it looked like. I wanted to see it with Joy in the shot when they were feeding each other ice cream.
Oh, it's so sad. It's so sad.
That was so delusional. So then, and here's where Crystal nails it. I think Annie and Pop will be the two saviors. Joy's going to die. Chance is dead too, although Chance did not die, at least that we saw.
That's good. Yeah.
And Pop is going to sacrifice himself in the end. So that was, I don't know, like 3 out of 4.
She's a clairvoyant.
See, I think she's totally wrong. I don't think none of that really happened. What I saw,
Doc watched his own show.
What I saw was, yes, it was Joy at the end, and she looks like Annie. Thus, Joy becomes Annie.
Joy became Annie.
See,
okay, you know what? If I want to be completely honest, I could argue that for you as well, Doc. I could actually like kind of manipulate that and be like, well, you know, absorbing someone's persona is essentially becoming them. You know.
Well, there's that too. Yep.
Yeah, because that's basically what she did.
Yeah, they're basically one at this moment. So.
And the only thing I said that turned out was we were trying to figure out what the Martian people were doing. What was their goal? What was it they were trying to accomplish? And
I don't know if we still know. Do we?
I said these people are interesting, and it makes you wonder what the goal is, unless they're just reincarnations of the Satanists trying to take over the town.
Take over the world.
Well, yeah, it was the world. It was the world.
World domination. Really? We're going there?
And Dave, they said they were going to do that. We're spreading out. We'll take over. We're going to spread. So Dave was the smartest because I think just about every time Doc asked for a prediction, Dave would say, I don't have any idea. I can't wait to see what's going on. But I want to see vampires. I want to see Salem.
I want vampires, God damn it. I didn't get any.
Well, wait a minute, Dave. You know, I'm going to say, no, I don't have anything. I'm sorry.
Annie at the end was a vampire.
Yeah. Annie was a vampire.
Well, stabbing somebody in both eyes with syringes is kind of
that's
vampirish. Well, maybe not. I don't know.
Well, it's pretty hardcore. I mean,
it is hardcore,
for sure.
Well, she's she likes to do bodily harm, as we know.
Yeah. I mean, we had the death by ice cream scoop and what?
Well, I like when she picked up the ice cream scoop later.
Yes.
Yes.
Little throwback.
Or killing somebody else with that. Well, okay. So here's a question. So she drugs Joy, and in the meantime, Joy stabs her with a hypo, but that didn't slow him down at all.
That's a good point.
They both run down to the end of the dock and have a knockdown, drag out fight, and Annie's still walking and operating and stuff. So
or is she? Or is she?
Oh my gosh!
It's an unreliable narrator.
She wakes up in the morning. It was all a dream. Okay.
They're in a snow globe.
That's it. Bobby's in the shower. Bobby's in the shower.
Wait a minute. Is this Rosebud or Krampus? Snow globe.
Actually good.
Very nice.
It was a fun season, I thought. I loved it. I was going to watch. I watched episode 6 and a little bit of 7, and then I held off to the end. And then when 10 became available, I thought, well, I'm going to start watching them again so I can get them all fairly close together. I'll watch a couple tonight. And I just binged through the whole thing. It was a late night, early morning kind of thing.
Is there confirmation on a 3rd season yet? Or is that
not yet?
Not yet.
Darn it. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But Dave will share the news as soon as he hears, right?
We will, and I think we will see it. This seems to be a fan favorite this season. So,
Yeah.
I hope so. I mean,
It was well received.
Is that what they're saying on the interwebs?
Interwebs.
interwebs.
The
What's-
interwebs, yes.
What is interwebs? I feel a little.
It's a boomer.
It's a technical term, Crystal.
Is it really? Is it really? Oh, I thought it was something really, just something smart. I'm like,
If you have to ask, you don't need to know.
Yeah, just let it go, Crystal. Let it go.
Crystal, my computer is named Electromagic Thingy.
but only if you sing it. Only if you
Seriously.
sing it.
No. I was actually doing troubleshooting in a hotel one time, and I gave the guy access to my computer, and he just starts laughing like crazy. You have the best name. You named your because I don't have Drive C. I have Electromagic Thingy. Anyway,
That's awesome.
Oh,
So now every hacker in the world is going, let's go get Jeff. No. Let's go get him.
yeah, it's like
get your-
changing
get
You got
name now.
ExpressVPN.
Yeah, get your ExpressVPN fired up.
I got it.
All right, well, now you're protected.
But he's got me. This has me interested in going back and watching season 1
I'm
again,
going to,
and
for
also seeing Misery again, and maybe even reading the book. And
Yeah.
the first story, the Jerusalem's Lot story that was in Night Shift, I think.
Yeah, that's a night shift. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that's vampires too, though, right? That's not witches or Satanists.
No.
Sorry, that was great. No.
No. Oh, it's just more and more reaffirming my hatred of no vampires in this.
Yeah.
movie.
The lack of vampires is
The lack of vampires your lack of vampires is didisturbing.
Well, they're
Yeah.
probably saying go watch Toby Hooper.
nice.
Well, yeah. Okay, so if it stays true that they're doing like something different each season, then it's highly likely vampire, right? Surely.
It'll be interesting to see where they go. I didn't see them going to Annie Wilkes for season.
I didn't
2.
either.
It was a total surprise. So I don't know where they will take us.
Yeah, because she didn't really have help me out. Wasn't she living in Colorado, or was she? Living
She was living in Colorado, and
Yeah.
and a
So there
recluse.
was really no connection to Salem's Lot or Castle Rock.
No. The fact that she would be driving through,
through
Jerusalem's Lot was kind of hard to buy in a way. But I mean, it worked out. They made it work.
Yeah, they did.
It'll be curious to see if we get a season 3, what they do.
You got to keep moving, or you'll lose your license.
They'll definitely stay with the in the Castle Rock, Salem's Lot area, I think, because everything seems to be based around there for the first 2 seasons.
In a way, that's kind of smart because they can bring in outside characters that don't have anything to do with Castle Rock, and people won't be mad if they can find a good reason for them to be there. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So remind everybody who Ace Merrill is, Dave.
Ace Merrill. Jesus.
Did I stump you?
No.
Just-
It's just kind of hard to explain how he ties into it, and really this season or this series kind of muddled his backstory in a way.
Well, he's no longer in the 50s.
Right, exactly. But yeah, again, it's kind of interesting, what they did with it. And I really don't know how to describe. How would you describe his previous?
Well, you just cut to the chase.
He was a bully, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a
Yeah.
bully, but you just cut to the chase to the film, right? Stand By Me, he's the bully.
Yeah, but I mean,
played by.
it doesn't really play into this in any way, shape, or form, other than the fact that he's just he's always been an asshole.
Nobody's answering your questions.
I know. He's just come on. All I want to know is keep your.
No, I'm actually trying to figure out like the timeline of how you would tie them together.
Well, you can't do that for Annie Wilkes either because
I think that's good, though. I think that's why they displaced them in their timelines so that, I mean, we don't know what happened with Annie. We don't know what Annie was doing when she was 30, but we do now, and actually, her character seems pretty much the same. Now, Ace was still an asshole, but
Yeah, well, he was an asshole. He was an asshole, and I mean, maybe they couldn't get him, but wouldn't it have been nice to have
actually
him played by
have
Kiefer.
by Kiefer? Yeah, to have.
I wonder if they-
that
I
would
wonder
have
if they
been
went to him.
amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have worked out really well.
The thing that happened with him is, and this is why I said I think they're going to be something completely different, because he was completely different. And that's because, well, he was something completely different. He wasn't even himself.
Right.
He was better.
After the ice cream cone, or the ice cream scoop.
Yeah.
Well,
He was
did you
actually
think
kind
it was,
of better. Weird.
In a way,
he literally picked Annie as the vessel because she attacked him with the ice cream scoop.
Well, she was responsible for waking them up, so he took that as a sign.
Right, but he called her a spirited woman worthy of you, and the only reason he had for thinking she was spirited was
he killed her.
she jumped up and killed him right off the bat.
Yeah. Well, maybe she. Yeah, that wasn't wrong, I guess.
But they don't really make much of a reference to Ace in the Needful Things storyline. I mean, they do make a reference to him from the body.
Right, because they mentioned the finding that body, right? Didn't they say something about that?
Yeah, there was, in one of the early episodes, they mentioned it. So, yeah, I mean, it's really interesting what they were able to do with the character. They kind of deconstructed him and reconstructed him, and yet at the same time, he's still the same character from...
Yeah.
Yeah, and they get away with it because it's literally could be any dimension, right? They've already established that there's two different castle rocks, right? Yeah. So there could be many different castle rocks. So this is just another. That's why it's time displaced, right? Wow, that's heady.
It's making my brain hurt.
That's going to make my head hurt. Yeah.
We're just going to have Stephen King characters fading in and out of the dimensions at the lake.
Yeah.
Throughout this.
And that's why Joy Wilkes is. Never mind.
What were you going to say? Oh,
it's not going to work.
Never mind.
She's not really dead.
I'm not going to win that. I'm just not going to win it.
That's hilarious.
Actually, I just wish I was like a fly on the wall when Doc was watching that, and he's like, "You mean to tell me she's not Joy? She is Annie?" I'm like,
Like, well, poop.
Maybe actually Joy started hallucinating and having delusions and thought that her mother killed her when she really killed her mother, and it was really
it works. I'm telling you. Keep going.
I think it's all going to play out that it's all a fever dream of Thomas Jane and Dreamcatchers.
Oh my God!
That's what's going to happen.
I was thinking JR,
but isn't that a Poop Weasel or something like that, or is that a different movie?
Whatever that thing was.
Of course, I say it with the bad word. God, one of the greatest. Dreamcatchers is probably my all-time favorite.
Okay.
Oh, that would be neat. I am done it.
Yeah, done it. Yeah, that's it. It's all
I feel like I need to go back through this show and write down all the little things that Annie said, because I'd love to use those in sentences, and just people would just think that's just so weird, like
Dirty bird.
Well, no, the other stuff where she just would use words that didn't make any sense. Like she called her hits up, and you can wrap your kadoka around that or something. Or I can't remember what she called it now. It was very weird. And all of her little colloquial, not even colloquialisms, but just the way she was brilliant. I should have said that when I was giving my first impressions, but I was, even all the way to the end, I was watching her every move, her facial expressions, her body movements were just so incredible.
Yeah, the Lizzy Caplan definitely nailed this.
I'm kind of disappointed she didn't get recognized for the Golden Globes.
Yeah.
It's a busy year, though. It's a busy year. A lot of good stuff got nominated.
A lot of good stuff. But yeah, definitely very strong, very strong. So we'll see where it leads. I mean, they definitely left this one wide open, because what the hell, I can't think of the guy's name. Who's the dude that played Pennywise? Skarsgård has vanished again. He's gone. Yeah. And Annie's on her way to Colorado, I guess.
Eventually.
Yeah, So, I mean, they other than tying up the 400-year-old Satanist, everything else was pretty much left wide open at the end of this one.
Yeah.
That's it.
I kept thinking we were going to run into. I know we weren't in Derry, so never mind.
We're close. Derry's just down the road.
Just down
Yeah,
the road.
but the
We
weird
gotta mention
tunnels and sewers and stuff they were going in just kept making me think of it.
Yeah.
But I guess all those towns in Maine have weird tunnels and sewers, and stairwells to nowhere.
Stairwells to Nowhere. Oh, that's a title. That's a title. All right. Well, let's wrap this. We're done. Go.
That's it.
Coming up is 2 holidays. Hey, if you're listening to this, we just in advance. If you're listening to this right away, we want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year or Happy Holidays. Is that what we have to do now?
Stop being so politically correct.
You can do whatever you want.
Yep.
I just did.
Okay.
Oh my God. That was so cute. You sounded like a little kid. I just did. I'm sorry.
We're inching closer to episode 100. That's exciting.
It is.
Very. Woo.
Inching.
Wait. Okay. So wait, we only have 5 left, right? Correct?
Mhm.
Well, that's if my math works, and it doesn't always.
No, my math. Let me tell you something. Give me some English and some writing and we'll talk. But when it comes to mathematics, even simple ones, I pull out my calculator. I'm not embarrassed, but I'm totally embarrassed, but I'm not embarrassed.
There's a reason they didn't put addition and subtraction on slide rules, Crystal.
Oh, God.
You and the slide rules. What's with the slide rules?
Oh, yeah.
All right. All right.
I cut most of that out of the last episode. I left a
Oh,
little
you
bit of
did?
that.
Oh, okay.
That slide rule porn you sent earlier was pretty.
Well, you make me question my next little dialogue, but let's go with it anyway. Jeff, Dave, Crystal, thank you for joining me tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Thank
Oh,
you.
shoot. I thought we
Great
were
being able
done
to.
before.
Hopefully everybody takes the time to watch this because it really is. It's.
Oh, this is great. Yes.
Oh my gosh, yes.
encourage it.
And I think you don't even have to be all that knowledgeable about anything Stephen King, and you'll still be just fine.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's confusing anyway. So,
Yeah, for a Stephen King fan, just to hear her utter those words at the end, I'm his number one fan. That was like so good.
That was great. You're welcome, Doc.
All right, let's say goodnight.
Night.
Good night.
Good night.